First,
the.
John, I'm sorry,
Yep.
I need you to do a roll call first.
Oh, okay, sorry. Keep going, I forget. I'm here, John Howard.
Cheryl Cronin,
Here, present, sort of.
Linda Dorsina Fori,
Here.
David Leonard.
I'm here. I am not actually a member, an appointed member of
Oh,
this
that's right,
committee.
not
I'm
in this
present.
one. I'm sorry,
Just for
that's right.
clarity. Yep.
Wrong committee. And then I also, Ben Bradley did try to log in. He is trying to call in via audio. He's having some issues at the time. So I told him to work on it for the next meeting.
Great. Good. So basically, all we really have to do is a nomination of the slate of officers. I believe what's the matter?
No, nothing. Go ahead. Slight correction.
We have to do the approve the minutes first.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I apologize. It's a learning experience for all of us.
It's the minutes from 5/14/19.
5/14. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. And then we move on to the nomination for the slate of officers, and that is trustees of the Boston Public Library. The City of Boston approved the recommendation of the Trustees Governance and Development Committee for the slate of officers and trustees of the Public Library, City of Boston, and the Clerk of the Board, period, to run from May 26, 2020 through May 26, 2021. Is there any comments or conversations or questions that anybody has on this before we vote? If not, I ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. So the slate of officers is passed. Pam, what else would you like me to cover? Or David, is there anything else we need to do? Or I think that's it from our end, but we wanted to get that through.
New business and public comment.
Okay. Oh, that's right. We're a public. Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay.
So, David, on new business, is there anything you want to update us on this committee right now? I know we haven't had a chance to connect too often, so.
The key update really relates to the Boston Public Library Fund, with Mary Myers transitioning out for personal reasons. The search process, the fund board set up a search committee and re-engaged with the search firm, as it had been less than a year since Mary had started. And I'm happy to report that process is in the final stages at the moment, having reviewed a very robust slate of candidates, and in particular, two very strong finalists. And I look forward to reporting good news. Will probably be via email, given that we, after today, won't be meeting as a group until September, although unless there's a special meeting called. But I'm very sad to be losing Mary. She accomplished a lot in the short period of time for the fund and for the library ultimately. And I'll report a little bit on the fund's accomplishments over the last year in the president's report in the full meeting. But from a development point of view, that is the main update. We intend to administratively renew the MOU with the associates for one more year before bringing a revised version of that document back through this committee and so on, which we would do starting presumably late fall. Those are really the updates that weren't formally on the agenda, but maybe our new business.
Mary Flynn, she did a great job, David. I mean, really remarkable in a short period of time. It's a tough loss, but some of the candidates she had asked me about, it sounds like you get some real good ones, and it sounds like it's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, we always knew this would be a multi-chapter story we'd be telling with the fund again. I think we thought chapter 1 would last longer than it did, but now we're pivoting to move into chapter 2.
Good luck to you. I think it's such an important aspect of what's going on, and it'll be interesting to get an update of how this all changes, because we had so much momentum going into this year, but that's it's going to be a challenge. I know on a couple of my other charitable boards, it's a real struggle right now, trying to get the people engaged and not losing them. So tough time.
I do think our mission comes into a much higher degree, if that were possible, of prominence in terms of the recovery phases ahead and people's dependence or need for library services. So to the extent that that's not a complete pivot, but rather maybe a reshuffling of some priorities, I think even if you look at our small but significant Books for Boston initiative, people do want to help and do stand ready to help. So to the extent that our messaging and people's desire to help align, it's not going to be easy, but there's certainly alignment there that with the right team we can take advantage of.
And David, to change the subject a little bit, how are you keep reading about the stores and the challenges that some of the people that are working at these places are running into, and the concern of our librarians and our employees. I know what the city's going to have. Is there anything in addition we can do to make sure that we don't run into this kind of challenge, violence? As much as we can, because we don't want them being security guards.
I would thank you and commend you for just recognizing that. Yes, indeed, many of our staff are anxious about what comes next, and in particular about returning to work. And I'm sure we'll get into this on the main meeting as well. But I think this is the reason why it is so important to go cautiously, slowly, and deliberately. And that as we bring in-person services back, we start with the ones where we can manage the environment effectively. And that means that we'll be starting with very limited services, but with an eye on what people seem to want most, which in our case would be books. But then secondly, making sure that we take seriously this equity lens and paying attention to where the most vulnerable members of our population and patron population are, so that we don't make the situation worse. So we want to bring back, Holes Pickup as our first really service, and we can control that in a very very streamlined manner before we. It's going to be a while before we open for browsing of shelves or use of space. Those are way down the line, let alone gatherings of any large size.
Okay, and then the second piece of that is the children, depending on what happens with schools this coming fall. And I think one of the challenges that I kind of have been seeing, and please join in, and I don't know whether we want to brought up at the bigger meeting, are there things that we can build now to help support these kids? And I know it's not our mission, but it's such a trying time if the city of Boston, because a lot of these kids get their meals at school. A lot of these kids get out of environments that aren't the best. We ran into this up in a couple of places. I've been talking to a couple of different people in different areas of the country. They're having the same kind of issue. So this forced kind of living together and ending social connection in schools has really had a challenge on children. And I'm just wondering, is there, we've already stretched and we're already doing things differently, but are there things that we're thinking about if the fall continues this way without schools being even more engaged?
I think this becomes the biggest question for the recovery phase, is not only how do we return to in-person service, but which services are the most important ones, and which particular populations need us most, and which of the things that we are doing now in this online world or soon to be hybrid world that we should keep doing because it works in this particular medium. Again, one eye on the digital equity gap, which is coming into much more sharper light than it was before. I was pleased 2 weeks ago that we were able to bring back our homework assistance program, where we hire a number of later high schoolers to mentor under the guidance of our library staff, younger children in getting their homework complete after school. and was thrilled to see that come back in an online mode. It's different, but it's still there. Michael can probably talk a bit about the details of that on the next call. And again, as we look at summer learning, summer reading, and indeed summer engagement, trying to understand what is the best way for the library to play a role over the summer. You know, we think the summer slide, such as it was, takes on a new meaning given the varying degree of success despite everybody's best efforts in completing the school semester. And we have some meetings with other education groups, including the Boston Public Schools team, to see, you know, what might fall look like and how should our role apply in that context. You know, in particular, we want to pay attention to our own in-person services, thinking that for some of our children's and teen spaces, those may be some of the most difficult spaces to mandate social distancing in, and understand what the implications of that are, at least in this first phase or two of reopening, so that we don't get ahead of what is really permissible under public health guidance right now.
Hey, David, I don't want to interrupt, but I think we have the same link at 8:30, but we need to log out and log back in to do it.
Okay, great. That's good to know.
Is that right, Pamela? So just John, without interrupting your
No, please. No, that's helpful. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think all of these conversations will be carried forward into the main meetings.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up at this governance risk because we might have to change a couple of things or have a little different flexibility going forward. And
it does inform the development agenda going forward, which presumably we'll be able to strategize on more formally with once the new executive director of the fund is hired.
Great. Okay, well, then why don't we all get ready to get called back in, unless somebody else has anything else they want to add.
We need to ask for public comment.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Public comment, anybody out there would like to add in a comment? Are there any questions?
Hold on.
There's a Q&A option on the bottom of Zoom where you can type in any questions or comments to be responded to. We're not getting any open questions at the moment.
There is no public comment.
Great. Okay, then I will end the meeting and call the meeting to end. And then why don't we jump on, why don't we all get ready for the next call at 8:30 and make sure we all can get on.
Perfect.
Good job, everyone. Thank you.
In a minute.
Thank you.
See you in a few minutes. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Pamela. David.
Thanks, Pam.
Okay.
David.